About a month or two later, we get a letter. Well, no, I should say, we got a letter from a prosecutor a couple of weeks later in Michigan who said, I disapprove of this project. It's unscientific. And the lawyer says it's true. So lawyers now declare that they're unscientific. And so there's more in that. At the end of our project, we get a letter from PAM, the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan, saying, we discovered that you were doing this, we discussed it amongst ourselves, we decided that we disapproved of it, it's unscientific, and therefore we're not participating.
He said some other things about it.
Now, you could say, what does this prove? I mean, this is just the opinions of people, but it's the opinions of people who are about as close to the action as you can be without asking defendants, and there are real problems with asking people who went through the system. How much faith can we put in this? Well, part of my answer is that the results were remarkably close in Ohio and in Michigan. What did we find? We found that when we asked our respondents, do you believe that wrongful convictions occur in the United States? The average response was the 1 to 3% category. So they're saying, yeah, it's happening out there. Now, how do they know? I mean, they're just reading the papers. So we have to really, be very careful as to how we read this. Then we said, does it happen in your own jurisdiction? And then the response drops down to 1/2 of 1% to 1%, somewhere in there. And when we ask these respondents, the half of the police and the prosecutors who responded said, it's never happened in my own jurisdiction. Defense lawyers were estimating it higher than the one survey of prisoners. They're going, the worst thing you could do is drown people in statistics. Estimates of wrongful conviction in your own jurisdiction. And there wasn't one defense lawyer who said it never happened in their jurisdiction. They said it's happened at least once. 41% of the police and 47% of the prosecutors said it's never happened in my county or my jurisdiction. Judges, now, the judges were always in between the defense lawyers and the prosecutors. So you say, part of this may be socialization, maybe how people are looking at the world. I don't claim that these figures are absolutely true. I mean, they can't be. They're estimates of professionals in the system, most of whom I will accept, prosecutors and police and defense lawyers are honest people doing their jobs well. I don't think, there are occasional cases of police who are really corrupt and they're hanging drugs on people, but those are relatively rare cases. But then the defense lawyers, a few of them say 1/2 of 1%, 6% say less than 1%. Then you've got 24 saying 4 to 5% wrongful convictions, 22 6 to 10%, and another 15, 20% saying more than 5%, which I don't fathom. I mean, it just seems like it's a little bit too much for me. Where do I come out on this? We suggest at the end of the paper that it's incautious. I actually wrote it somewhere eloquently, but I cannot speak eloquently the way Mr. Marlinga can. He's a defendant, trial attorney, and he speaks much better than I do. When I write, I'm pretty good. I think there are two mistakes that can be made. One is to give wildly high estimates. And I should say in another paper that we have coming after this, we ask people, how bad are the other guys compared to you? And the prosecutor said, well, they're all worse. The police said, we make mistakes, but they're all worse. The judges said, yes, the judges made some mistakes, but they're really all worse. The defense lawyers, God bless them, said everybody stinks and we're bad too. And they're very critical of themselves. But a lot of them are Sado lawyers who are appellate lawyers who see some of the stuff that's coming through. And they may actually have the best finger on it. It's hard to know. But at this point, I think it would be incautious to say that error rates are 4, 5, 6% or higher. But I think it really is a mistake to try to do what Justice Scalia did, said it's not a problem at all. Now, what does that translate into numbers? It's very easy. There's about 1 million felony convictions every year in the United States. If it's 1%, that means 10,000 people every year in the United States are found guilty of crimes either by pleading or by trials that they did not commit. And of those, about 4,000 go to prison and another 2,000 go to jail. And a lot of them are in the small cases, relatively property felonies, drug felonies, where people are faced with pleaded or, you'll go away for 8 years, for 10 years, and I think a lot of those folks just eat it, and they go away with very grumpy views of the criminal justice system. There is one other study that I'll tell the class about a little later. A study was done by a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, lawyer, who looked at every appeal from felony trials in San Jose, Santa Clara County, and then looked at the cases and got a panel of 10 experts, retired judges, prosecutors, law professors, experts, to review the number of errors they found. And of 750 cases that appellate courts decided over 4 years, they came to the conclusion that in a high percentage of cases, appellate courts found harmless error when this group found it was not harmless. Trial attorneys made some mistakes. Did you ever see a trial attorney, after a trial, get off the bench, the podium, put it in front of the jury, and actually argue to the jury for an hour in a prosecutorial manner? No? Well, a judge did that in San Jose. Okay, it can get pretty flaky in some places. Mistakes by lawyers and overzealousness by prosecutors. This group thought that there were serious errors made in 1/3 of all of the trials in San Jose. I've not seen any evidence like this, and I can't seem to get Polsky, the author, to write it up.